Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ronke, aka Ronnie. Now let's talk about movies.
Hey, Alpha, bad guy. Everything for boys.
Hello, I'm Ronnie. Let's talk about movies. So let's talk about Collision Course. Now, Collision Course is a Nollywood film on Netflix about a police officer and an upcoming artist. The police officer, well, actually, both the police officer and the artist are struggling to make ends meet, and the police officer sets up a roadblock. Eventually, events happen, and he kills the artist. And according to synopsis, the official synopsis, that is what kicks off the entire chain of events. However, that's really not what happens in the film. So I have a feeling like the first wrote the synopsis and wrote the script to have the murder of the artist come in the beginning, but then switched it off because they realized that that was more of a suspense point that they wanted to lead up to. Not watching the synopsis really helped because it was completely different watching the film. And when I started watching it, I actually had very low expectations of the film, and so I was very pleasantly surprised when I got to the end and I realized, okay, it's not half bad. But I will not take any much time talking about the film. I'll just go straight on to talk about what I liked and what I didn't really like in the film. So the first thing that I didn't like was the opening scenes. So in like the first 5 minutes, there's scenes about basically police brutality, SARS or TARS as they call them in the film, killing people, and they basically harass the upcoming artist to give them money and abandon him by the side of the road. For me, I feel like those first 5 scenes were very unnecessary because there was nothing in those scenes that kind of moved the story forward. We didn't see any reference to his past, to that experience. In fact, it actually felt like his entire family, even his pregnant girlfriend, didn't know that he had had that run-in with the police. The only other time we then see those police officers is when the struggling officer who sets up the roadblock and eventually kills the artist goes to meet them in trying to join the squad, and then realize he doesn't have the, I would say, mental capacity to kill and rob people. So basically, I feel like that opening scene really was not very necessary, or could have been written in a different way to just kind of add to maybe the suspense or whatever events happened later on in the film. The other part that I didn't really like was the character development. I feel like the artist's character could have been developed a bit further, for us to really learn about his motivations. Yes, we know he's a struggling artist and he has one show that doesn't end up really well, but then we don't see the journey. We don't hear about the journey so much. I feel like if they developed his character a bit more, when his tragic end came, it kind of tug a lot more at the heartstrings. For me, my sadness at his death came because of his pregnant girlfriend and not really from him or anything about his story. So I feel like there could have been a bit more character development on his part. The other thing that I didn't really like about the film was the temporal development, and I'd say like the timeline of events. So in the beginning, where it has like the police brutality scene where police seen killing people and doing all sorts of things, it then goes to show 3 weeks later, and then we have like the events, the 24-hour events that eventually leads to the guy's death. Now I'm like, well, so, but then there's like a whole montage where the character has the omniscience narration, and he's talking about how he's in love with his girlfriend, he is, and all of those things. And it's like, you don't really just understand what's happening and the timeline of the events. So was that event happening after the few weeks? And if it is, how do you quickly bounce back from having that happen to you just 2 weeks ago, and nobody knows and nobody's talking about it? So it was just, there was fine details that I feel could have been worked around in terms of the timeline. Now for what I did like about the film, I did like the plot. I feel like it was very simple and basic. It was a basic premise, two guys hustling, both, eventually end up in, well, they both actually eventually ended up with a tragic end. So, it was a very simple plot which they followed through till the end. They didn't kind of like add any other extras of multiple things as Nigerian films are known for. So I really liked that. I like the performance of the actors. They're really good. Chioma Akpotha and Kelechi, I don't remember his last name, but he was really good. They really embodied their characters, I felt like, and this leads me to the final bit that I did like, which was the dialogue. They really had very authentic and realistic conversations, and even the grammar that was used wasn't something that you'd be like, okay, is this Nigerian, like what's happening? You understand? But the final bit that I really liked was the special development as well. So when it comes to like determining the space of where the film was, we knew and we could tell where everything was happening. It was in Lagos, it was on the island, it was on the mainland. We could tell and we knew that. So I feel like that was well developed enough, and that was really good. In conclusion, I would say Collision Course is an okay watch. It's a feel-good film. It had its down points. Continuity wasn't so well done, and then there were some parts of the story where with the police chief, he didn't really seem to know the police officers under his division, or maybe they were not under his division, I don't know. But there were those bits that I feel like could have just been tightened up and done better. However, it is not actually the worst Nigerian film that I have seen. And if you're just looking for something to kind of put on Netflix and to just have dinner or watch with the family, it's really good. I also liked that they were having a play on the police brutality, NSAS issue, and there was a lot of footage of NSAS as well at the end. So I loved the end scenes, where they call out the names of all the victims of police brutality, and they used that footage from the NSAS protest. That was a good way to kind of draw, I'd say, attention to the issue. A lot of it was also kind of contrived. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was kind of trying too hard to just tie in the police brutality, because at the end of the day, the entire film wasn't completely really about police brutality. It was just about the Nigerian problem. It was about that hustle that every Nigerian is made to do, and how in most times leads to desperate ends. So yeah, that's what I think about the film. If you have seen it, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think my points are right? Do you think my points are somehow? If you haven't seen it, please go and watch it. It's on Netflix. I think it's only showing on Netflix. I don't know where else it's showing. And yeah, I will see you next week with another film. Till then, be good. Bye bye.